So for this final part of our shed project tutorial videos, we are going to basically put our model into a presentable or printable, shareable format that you would be able to give to like a civil engineer, another architect, and they'd be able to look at and like fully understand the scope of this project. So this one will be pretty simple since our shed is pretty simple, but as you make more complex things, it'll become more complex. So we're going to be using something called Sheets. So farther down in your project browser, you should see this Sheets All. And you're going to need to right click on it and choose New Sheet. So you probably won't be able to see this B11 by 17 horizontal. I had to load it in. So to do that, you're going to go to Load and go back to that US Imperial folder to find all of our families and then title blocks. And we want B11 by 17 horizontal. So you're going to choose that and click Open. So with that, I'm going to do New Sheet and choose that B11 by 17 and click OK. So this is our sheet. So there's a couple of things we're going to enter and fill in before we bring in some of our models. And we're going to do a couple of these sheets for showing different things. So for owner down here, you're going to double click and put your name. So I'm going to do Miss Fly. And then project name, this project is our shed project. So then what's kind of cool that over here in this part of the title block, you can type it right in. Another spot you can do it is over here in this identity data, and you can change things there as well. So where it says unnamed, this first one is going to be our elevations. So you can either type it in where it says sheet name, elevations, or over here it says elevations, and I'll zoom in here too. So for our date, let's do today's date, so whatever date you are finishing this up on. So I'm filming this video on September 22nd. So I'm going to do 9/22/2021. So today's date that you're finishing this project on. Drawn by author, that's you. So I'm going to do Miss Fly again. Checker is not needed for this project, but as we do bigger things, you're going to want somebody to look over your design to make sure it looks good, that you meet the requirements, that all these sheets make sense. So eventually you'll be putting somebody's name there. But for right now, we're just going to leave it as checker. And we might come back and fill some of these things in as we put more stuff in. But there is the basics. So like our sheet title says, elevation. So that's what we're going to be bringing into this first sheet and bringing our 4 elevation views. So to do that, we are going to scroll up on our project browser. So I'm going to make my properties a little smaller so I can see more of my project browser. And we're going to bring in all 4 of these, but there is a specific order. So how it gets laid out, it's going to go north, south, east, and west. So those same spots. So I'm going to bring north in first. So I just clicked and I'm dragging it in. And wow, so that is really big. And I don't even know where our shed is on there. So I'm going to Control Z undo that. And I'm going to go to that north view. So I'm going to double click. And so the reason it did that is because of these lines are so far out there that it's trying to fit all of that in. So if you click on your lines, you get these little, the circle that you can drag it in closer. So I'm going to do that on both sides. All right, so let's see now if I go to my sheets. Actually, it's right up here. And I'm going to drag in north. So that's a much better size. So it doesn't look like anything right now, but I'm going to click and place it. And there is that north view. So then south. And then east. Oh, east is really big again. So I'm going to undo that. Let's go look at east. For some reason, we got to redo moving those in. All right, let's just double check west. Looks good. Okay, I'm gonna close all these extra things. All right, so back to our east and west. So you might have noticed as I was placing some of these in there, I was getting some dotted lines, and that's to help you make sure these all are aligned. So like our north and south, we wouldn't want south like way down here because that wouldn't make sense to somebody viewing this. We want like the roof lines at the same height, the ground at the same height. So as you position things, you can drag and you can see the dotted line. We want that to happen. So especially with that north and south and east and west, you can also align them with, as you can see below, it's going up and down to the west. So you can also align them that way too. And that can help make things just look cleaner. So it's lined up with west and north. So there are our 4 views. Maybe actually I'm going to bring them in just to make them closer into the center of the page. So now that those are in, you can see that they're labeled north, south, east, west, and that's where your 4 should be, north, south, east, west, those spots. Another kind of cool thing it automatically does is it puts the scale in here. So 1/8 inch is equal to a foot. And as you can see down in the bottom of our sheet, it added in that 1/8 inch is equal to a foot. So, and I believe you could rename this, I think they call it the sheet number. Yeah, sheet number A102 if you want. I suppose this is our first sheet, so A101. I had a practice one. So yours is probably 101 anyways, but you could call it 1 or 2, depending on your project, your specifications by your project manager or your boss. They might have you put different things in there. But there is our first sheet, an elevation sheet. So I'm going to go back down to our sheets. So now we can see in here it says A101 elevations. I'm going to right click on where it says sheets and do another new sheet with a B11 by 17. So this one is going to be using something called schedules and quantities. So for this project, there's not going to be a lot because it's pretty simple. Basically, what this does is it lists all the doors, windows, all of that kind of stuff. So obviously for this project, we just have doors and windows. So it's gonna be really simple and basic, but obviously if you're doing a full house, a full commercial building, it's gonna have a lot more. So if you right click on schedules and quantities, we're gonna do a new schedule quantity. And let's see here. If we just do architecture, what gives us our options? So it lowers things down a little bit, makes it a little easier to find stuff. So we are going to do our doors and windows. So door schedule, okay. And then in here you'd be able to choose like what information you want to know about it. So for this, we are just going to do the family. So I'm going to click family and move it over. We're going to do height and move it over, and width, and okay. So here is that schedule that was just made. So we can expand this A column so we can read it all. So it basically tells us what 2 doors are here, the size of them, the height, and the width. And that's our door schedule. So let's also make our window schedule. So same thing, I'm going to add a new one, go down to windows, and do OK. And those same things, we're going to do family. You can even just double click on it. So family, height, and width. And okay. And there is our window schedule. So I can expand that description, make sure we can read it. So like I said, you'd use this for windows, doors, electrical stuff. You can kind of see, if I pretend to make a new one, the different things you could put in here. So casework, curtain wall mullions, and this is just the architecture tab, railings, ramps. We could go into electrical and just see everything you would need for all the electrical. You'd get a whole running list of all of that other stuff that you would need to order, really. So I'm going to hit cancel. So now we have those schedules made, we want to bring it into our second sheet, our A102 unnamed. So you can see that it already transferred over your name and the project name, because it knows that this all goes together. But instead of unnamed, we want to call this schedules. So it has the date still there. The scale will get modified as we bring stuff in if it's needed. So now that I have the sheet set up, I'm going to open up this little tab. I'm going to click door schedules, drag it in. We'll put it right there. Window schedule. We'll get them lined up so they look nice and neat. You could go either way. We don't have a lot going on, so I'll spread it out a little bit. And there are our two schedules that we need. That's all we need. So, I guess author would be you. So make sure you put your name in there. And sometimes like drawn by, that would be like maybe one person drew everything and another person put all this together. So that's why sometimes you might have different names, numbers, things like that. So there's our second one. I'm going to close our schedule tabs. We don't need those anymore. And then we're going to do another one. Make sure. All right, so we're going to do our floor plans next. So again, with our sheets, we're going to do a new sheet. Be horizontal, okay. And this is going to be our floor plans. Instead of unnamed, I'm going to call it floor plans. And we only have two floor plans. So we have our floor and our roof. So I'm going to grab the floor, drag it in, and it is huge because you can see our cameras are way out there. So this is the size of this is going to be determined by those cameras. So I'm going to delete that. Let's go look at our floor. And we need to move these cameras in. So you just click on it, and once you get those little boxes around, you can drag it in closer. So you want one on like each side, that north, south, east, west. All right. And we'll go back. That looks like a nice size. Our floor. Again, I want things to line up. And our roof. So there are our two floor plans. And sometimes when you have a really big project, all of the floor plans wouldn't fit on one sheet and you would have multiple sheets of floor plans. But for ours is simple. So there's that. So let's go back down to our sheets and add our final one, new sheet. I haven't saved. I'm going to save my project. All right. So this last one is going to be of our renderings. So in your renderings, you should probably only have one. The one that I showed you in the video, I was playing around. So I have two, but I know Shed A is the one I want. So I'm just going to drag that in. And there is my beautiful rendering. I'm going to try and center it there. I'm going to, instead of unnamed, call it renderings. Author. Let's get up my name in everywhere where we need it. All right. So those are the 4 sheets. Let me check floor plan. I didn't put my name in there. There we go. All right, so those are our 4 sheets that you're going to turn in. Okay, so now that we have our 4 sheets done, we need to save those sheets or print them, export them so that you can turn them in on Schoology. So we're going to turn in all 4 of these, and how you're going to do it is actually go File, Print, and instead of going to a printer, you're going to choose Print to PDF. So this will just save it as a PDF file that you'll be able to turn in really easy to Schoology. It loads well for me. So a couple of things you need to change. So where it says file, we want all of the views or sheets in one file, so you don't have to upload 4 separate ones. They'll all be in one PDF. And then for print range, you want to do selected views or sheets and select them. So we want all 4 sheets selected. I don't need everything you've done, just those 4 sheets, because that compiles all of those things. So your elevation, schedules, floor plans, and rendering sheets. So check those. You can hit OK. And then from there, you're just going to click OK and choose where you want it to go. So you can put it in your network file again. I just threw mine on my desktop. As you can see, my testing of them here. I'm just going to call it Shed Project. Because then if it's on the desktop, I know it's easy to find, easy to grab, to throw into Schoology. And I can click Save. And then what I would do is on the same computer that you're on right now, saving your file, is go to Schoology and go to our Shed Project assignment on Schoology and upload those PDF files from your desktop or wherever you save them.